So this lesson today, I entitled it Everyday Living. It just occurred to me that to put together both spiritual activities truth students would want to engage in daily, periodically, to keep this theme of things upbeat. So I put together some things, and after this we'll discuss to know how you're doing and how you're keeping everything upbeat in your life. So we know that basically, fundamentally, all of us, we want to grow and we expand. We want to grow and expand. That's one of the benefits of our connection with Source. We want to grow, we want to expand beyond leaps and bounds. We want to keep things moving forward. We want to move from good to greater good. That is our desire. That is what we want for our lives. We want it to be upward and onward always. And if we don't do this or get into activities that make us to move forward, we may stagnate. And this is not the desires of God of the universe for us. We already know that the desires of God of the universe for us is to prosper. It's for us to enlarge. It's for us to be healthy. It's for us, we are born whole. We are meant to be whole. And we want to remain whole. So these are the desires we know that the universe wants of us. So we want to keep it that way with the connection we have with God, with universe. We want to and we intend to stay the course. We are doing an important work, like we always say, and we can't calm down. And that's why we always implore everyone to come in to listen, because it's an important work. It's a work we do for yourself, and I do for myself. You can't do mine, and I won't do yours. Because when we hear these principles, this teaching always, then it focuses us, it keeps our minds stayed on it, on the power that we have and that we can use. And some of us are already seeing results of this positive thinking, positive outlook to life. We hear the demonstrations during the interaction time. We hear people practicing, taking one step after the other and seeing the results. And that is wonderful. And that is what we want to keep doing. We want to keep hearing the demonstration because we are practicing this teaching. You know, it's just like 2 + 2 4. If you hear and practice, you definitely see the results. We're also noticing that our affirmations are working. I mean, there are times in these classes we talked about affirmations. We talked about writing our own specific affirmations and put it on your walls where you see it and declare it often. We also have learned or heard that our words are powerful. If we declare a thing, it shall come to pass, because our words are powerful, because we are connected to power, we are connected to source, we are one with power. So whatever we say are powerful. So we want to keep this up. And fundamentally, the center, that's the goal, the vision, mission statement of the center, to support each and every one of us to move from good to greater good, to excel, to expand. We are here for us to help us to move to a greater understanding and a realization of who we are and who we have come here to be. This is, again, a very important question that if we can remember to ask ourselves often, it will always remind us who we are and focus us on our goal and our connection. Because once you know who you are and who you have come here to be, it's like a reminder of purpose. And what is life about apart from purpose? If we fulfill purpose, then we are good and fine. So our teaching and our gathering is to keep these sights high, So keep it up in your front. This is who you are. This is what you're here for. You're here to expand. You're here to prosper. You're here to be whole. So we want to keep this trend of positivity going higher. Always, always. That is what we want to be doing here. So I like from this lesson for us to look a bit into what a truth student is. Because we often say it, I'm a truth student, you're a truth student. Of course, whatever I'm going to say won't be exhaustive because there'll be so many other things. But I'll go through some of the things that we want to see in the life of a truth student. And who is a truth student? And is someone who is dedicated in studying and practicing the principles and the teachings of new thoughts. You study it and you practice it. They go hand in hand. You hear and you practice. Because these two things will always give you the results you want. New thought, new way of thinking. There is the study and the practice. And that's what we gathered to do here. We hear it, then in our respective places, lives, then we practice what we hear, what we read, what we study. We practice it. The belief, the faith, and the works. You believe in it, you have faith, and it works. And it works when you put it to practice. So we want to know that a true student is someone that believes and practices these principles. And is someone who has faith and relies on the divine principle. And what are these divine principles? They are spiritual laws that when we align ourselves to, we will improve our lives and our well-being. We talked about the spiritual principles. We talked about principles of gratitude that is causative. We talked about principles of giving and shall be given unto you. There's so many of them. Sow and you reap, action and reaction. So many of these principles that we know that when we are aligned to and practice would improve our lives and our well-being. And for a very simple explanation, it means that we actually believe that life responds to us. And it's responding to everyone right now. And when we have this kind of faith that life responding to us always 24/7, then we know and we're operating from an understanding according to the law and according to faith. Life responds 24/7. So even when things don't come up the way you want it, you are knowing that there is good and life is working out for your own good. When we are always preoccupied with living our life with this understanding that life responds, because what that means is that in every situation, I know all is well. Whatever that has happened before, currently, and in the future, it's working totally for my own good. There's an alignment. Life is responding perfectly for me in every situation. And when we have this understanding and believe in this life, process of life, then we can say we are truth students. We know that there are no mistakes, no happenstances. Everything has been orchestrated by the divine to bring us to where we are now. Life just responds perfectly all the time. And when we do, we definitely have a different focus from so many people around. when we understand that life responds in the midst of any situation, we can be calm and trust the process of life to unfold perfectly. And we want to know that also when we do this, we are coming from a realization that we are connected to Source. That does not mean there won't be turbulent times, there will be, but when we have this knowing, we trust and know that it will end up for our own good. It's working for us, like we say, not to us. And when we live this type of way and involved in this teaching, we are simply raising our consciousness. We are raising our understanding. We are raising and realigning our sensitivity to that of the Spirit. We are aligning ourselves to the operations of the universe. What a perfect thing to always be in when we are aligned to that, what the universe is doing. It gives peace. There's harmony. Anytime we have that alignment, there's always peace. There's always calmness. There's always great things happening, insight into things, because the Spirit is intelligence. And once we align or always align with it, there will be a flow of goodness, greatness, always. And we want to also know this, that whatever this God is, this Source is, whatever this greatness is, we believe and we know that we have it and it's within us. This is an understanding a true student has and practices. We believe we are one with it, with this power, with this Source, and we believe it is in everything. It's in you, it's in everyone. It's everywhere. We see it all around, it's within us. Again, everything basically we are talking about is that life in you, life responds to you, and it responds according to your belief, according to what you hold on to. Again, overall, the New Thought movement itself emphasizes again on the power of the mind, or when we say it in another way, the power of consciousness. We are saying that we believe that life, again, responds, like I said, according to what you believe. If you believe all is well, life will respond in that manner to you. If you believe that you're coming out of a situation, it will respond in that way. Life just responds. If you're always thinking about conceiving great things, thinking about great things, life will bring that to pass for you. It's the law. Life responds to us. As within, so without. And that's why we always talk about the power of the mind, our thoughts. Because if we fill it with great things, we'll see it show out in our lives. Ernest Holmes was very clear when he said that we have this power available to us and we can use it. The challenge always, it's knowing and coming to the understanding about this power. Then the second part will be how we can use it or using it. But in our classes, we will always want to remind you that you have enormous power within you. And the teaching here is to let you know how to use it for your own good. Tomorrow's lesson is always self-healing class. It's the work you have to do. I have to do for myself. I have to believe, I have to step out, and move out in faith, That's when the demonstrations would come. And I'm happy that we hear a lot of that during our interaction time. People practicing this teaching and are seeing the results. Again, some of the characteristics of a true student. A true student is dedicated to seeing the good in life. I mean, it sounds very simple, but it takes enormous faith and trust to do this. It takes your faith, your mind, your confessions, what you're professing, what you're declaring. Because sometimes life can be challenging. And again, what do we do in the midst of all that? It's only when you know a thing and is within you that you can use it in situations, when situation arises. So if we know this truth, that everything will end up being good, because that is the eventual purpose of God, of the universe for me, then we can trust, even with the tiniest of faith, that I will go through this and confess and declare it constantly. I will definitely see the result. A true student, again, is someone, like I said, that practices positive thinking, affirmations, and expects that everything is working out for his or her own good. He or she sees the good all around, even when it's all dark. Even when you're not seeing it, the eye of the faith of the Spirit sees it. You connect, align yourself within that is within, and see the good because it's there. It takes real faith to focus on seeing the good, like I said before, knowing that good and God is here. You know, there's some quote in the Bible that talks about the Spirit calling onto the deep. I mean, the Spirit within you knows that God is everywhere. And that presence is always here and it's responding. It's just a little mathematical how these things work. We say 2 plus 2 is 4. And imagine that with saying the Spirit, life responds to you. So whatever you place in the hands of the universe of life, that's what it will bring to you. So if we're constantly placing positive things, good things, that's what we will see as a response. And that is what we are trying to always bring about here. That life will respond to whatever we place on it, whatever we think within. Life will respond to that. And don't even blame yourself. It's not a blame game. When you have doubts, it's normal for that to happen. It's not what we do when we have those doubts that matter. Because those things, it will always come, and we always talk about how to nip up those thoughts in the mind. Cancel, we can declare some things, can say this is not who I am, can confess and declare who you are, your connection with Source. And that's why Dr. Greg reminds us of the cup, St. Peter, which says, God, I believe, please help my unbelief. So you have those doubts. But we know that through this teaching and through the insight we get from this teaching, we can nullify those doubts. And we can control and direct our thoughts always. Because we know these thoughts are powerful, thoughts are things, and the thoughts can be changed. It takes practice. Constantly practicing this, and we definitely see results. Furthermore, a true student also knows as we change our thinking, the outer world begins to reflect our new understanding. Your thoughts are powerful. It's a new thought group. If you change your thinking, it will reflect on the outside, definitely. As we let go of negative states of consciousness and replace them with positive and affirmative thoughts, we'll see a change. We are not just co-creators for being co-creators. We are co-creators because we have the power to create. We speak things into being because we have power. Our words are powerful. If you say a thing, it shall come to pass. And as we change our consciousness and our thinking, we are bringing forth a new reality. And we want to bring that to everyone, and I know you all understand it about being true students. And again, this is a lifelong process. It's not what we do today and we don't do it next week. We want to cultivate the habit of practicing these teachings, because then we can live a very good life. True students understand that it's up to each of us to be the guardian at the gate. We always talk about this. To guard our hearts with all, our mind with all diligence, because we know out of it flows everything that pertains to life and death. A true student is mindful of this. Things that will cause us to expand or constrict, they are all in the mind. So we want to be careful what we let into our mind, what we see, what we hear. We want to be sure that things that give us life, that are life-giving. Because if they are life-giving, then we'll produce life-giving demonstrations. Again, remember what Dr. Greg will always say, it's all about you. You are the most important person in your world. I am the most important person in my world. What are you doing with guarding your heart? What you see, what you listen to. Because there are seeds you're sowing. If you sow seeds that are great, you will bear great fruits. We don't work on anyone's consciousness. We focus on our own. We focus on self-healing, on becoming the better person, on healing ourselves, healing misconceptions, our judgments, healing of false opinions and erroneous beliefs. We have so many of these things that we're carrying along, and they're heavy weights. They slow us down. But again, we have so much power that we can break out of these things. It takes practice. Before you know it, you find that there are some things that slow you down and not even, you let them go already. You release them into the nothingness. I release them into their highest good. We want, as true students, to understand this and pay attention to what we are creating. What are we creating? By the things we let in and we speak, or the things we do. So we want to sieve what we hear, what we let into our being, knowing that we are caused to our experience. Yes, it's an outcome and reaction thing. Action and reaction. We are caused. Whatever thing we experience, we must have let that in. Of course, it's our work. It's the daily work we have to do. And after a while, we get pretty good at catching ourselves. Yes, that happens. Practice makes perfect. After a while, just the thing we talk about on Thursdays, checking those tendencies of our thoughts. If we begin to pay attention to it, sometimes when we let negative thoughts or negativity comes in, we remember and say, oh, this is not what I don't want to give life to this thought. And we begin to cut it. At those moments, we do our best to cancel the negative thoughts. Whichever way that's best for you. This is not who I am. This is not what I want. I cancel it. I take it out. Any way possible. Some will write things down and tear it. I'm no longer part of it, or burn it. These are just physical, practical ways of getting rid of stuff you don't want to in your life. We find ways to release it and replace it with something that is much more life-giving. We replace the negative thoughts with what is true. Again, Ernest Holmes says, change your thinking and change your life. We've heard this a number of times. Our thinking affects our life again. And he was so right about this. Most of us understand this concept, but doing the work means really paying attention. There's a lifetime of negativity in many of us. And to turn that around to this kind of thinking, it takes patience and practice. And again, that's what we are here to remind us, and us and myself too, that we can get rid of these things and focus on things that are life-giving, things that are productive, things we want to see manifest in our lives. Again, the great Napoleon Hill says, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. This is a way a true student thinks too. Whatever you can conceive and believe, you can achieve. If you can visualize it as being true, it will be true in your life. Just a matter of time. And that could be anything from health to relationships to prosperity to anything. If you can conceive it in your mind and believe it, then you can achieve it. Because then you channel focus and energy towards that and begin to walk towards that, and you see a manifestation, definitely. This is just law of mind in action. Again, remember we started from guarding our hearts, guarding our mind, because we know out of it flow the issues of life. And if we guard our hearts and block every negative thing that is not of God, and conceive the things that are right, proper, great, and walk towards it, we're saying that this is the law of mind in action to give you the result that you want. There's tremendous power in affirmative treatment. Again, any true student would want to know this and understand this. There is tremendous power in affirmative treatment and in our meditation. That's why we take time out to quiet ourselves, to do meditation, because so much happens then. It doesn't have to be only when we are in groups. We can take our time when we get home or whenever and be quiet for a moment. Because so much happens when we are quiet and we are in the moment. We know here that there's so much power in that zone, in that moment. There's so much that we can access in that moment. When we're quiet, we can focus our mind, we can calm down. Again, like I said, we'll be present. We talked about taking a pause. When we take this pause and be still, we'll find ideas and thoughts will begin to come to us from spirit within. It's like creating a conducive environment for great things to thrive, for spirit to align yourself with spirit and to hear spirit speak to you. Taking time from the hustle and bustle and reflecting on things that come up for you in meditation is very important. It's like a sieve. You sieve through things and process your day. Taking a few minutes wherever you can, simply to be still and free of all the racket, is healing. Yes, it does. There's some healing of the mind, even the body, that happens in quiet times, because things are realigned and adjusted and in perspective, and you have a clearer understanding of things, and that alone, it's healing. There is direction. There's insight when we quiet ourselves. I can't exhaust the benefits of being in quiet time. They are enormous. There's clarity. The Spirit is always with you and a part of you, and is better able to inform you if you are quiet, open, and receptive. This is something a true student will always want: quiet time. You and God alone. I know it's a challenge in this world to have those moments, but we can create it. We can create it. In new moments, we can see people with fresh eyes without any history of distortions from the past. There's so much that happens when we're quiet and come in the new moments. In new moments, we can drop our stories and we can look at people through God's eyes as spiritual beings. When we're in new moments, we could see people as whole. We are all whole and complete and evolving. We are at different stages of our journey. When we are in these moments, in quiet times, in new moments, in the present moment, we see with the Spirit's eye that we are all evolving. And we can become free in new moments and be restored to right thinking, right ways of doing things. As true students, we want to actively apply these principles that we talk about, this teaching of raising our consciousness, of seeing things from a perspective of good, only good, all the time. We want to take it step by step and practice the teaching. We want to do our affirmative treatment and trust that we'll see the results of what we are holding on to, the universe or God for. We always talk about the practice, because we know the effectiveness, the demonstrations come when we practice. Not just hearing the word or studying it, it comes in the practice. And this is what a true student holds on to. In the practice, in the stepping out, with your heads up, step out in faith and practice. The demonstrations only come with that. Again, to bring out something from the scripture that says that faith without works, it's unfruitful, it's death. It's your faith and your works, your faith and your stepping out. You have faith in this process that life responds to you, but you have to step out. You won't just stay still and not use it. The power is there. It's dormant. It's only when we step out and use it that it becomes kinetic power, kinetic energy. Another one that we all know, it's gratitude. A true student practices gratitude. We know gratitude is causative. We acknowledge and appreciate the blessings in our lives as a way to attract more positivity. And the last one I want to talk about before I hear from you all, it's about taking inventory. This is very important for a true student to sift through things, take notes, the things that happen, and compare. I like to take a little process from the 12 Steps program. And it says that inventory is a thorough self-examination to address past behaviors, resentments, fears, shortcomings, and so many of other things. And taking inventories is not just a one-time event, but an ongoing process. That's why sometimes we encourage you to have notes where you write things down. It's an ongoing process. True students would always examine their thoughts, their actions, and everything, relationships, to prevent old patterns from resurfacing. Because when you take inventory, take notes of things, when it happens again, it's happened here, it's happened here, what may have resulted to this? You're mindful, you pay attention. Inventory process is deeply personal and is very transformative because it helps us gain awareness. Sometimes we may forget, but when we have it written down, this happened today, it's happening again, the tendency is that you may be able to pick up what resulted or what caused it, what in the day caused this to happen. And if it's something that you're doing that you can trace, then you're able to adjust because you're being mindful of what you're creating. And we know it's an integral part of our journey as true students, taking inventory the best way possible, because it will end up leading to a healthier and more fulfilling life. So basically, in this teaching, we are working towards enjoying our lives, enjoying an everyday life. Because when we understand these principles and practice it and realign our lives, our thoughts with what the universe has for us, then we definitely enjoy life. The life is for enjoying, not for us to live angry, sick, poverty. Those are not the thoughts of God or universe for us. Life is for us to enjoy, to live life fully, to maximize every potential that we have. This, I'm sure, and I know, are the thoughts of the universe for us. So that will be the lesson. I'd like to ask us a few questions, and you may just put your answers in the chat room if you want to, but they're just very things that will just pick our thoughts. Okay, the first question, it's the technicians will put it in the chat room. According to New Thought philosophy, is it believed that our thoughts can shape our reality? Of course, we know what the answer is. Definitely yes. Yes, our thoughts can shape our reality. That we have said in this lesson. Then question 2, Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity Church, believed that divine truths can be found in which of the following? Only religious scriptures, in various world religions, as well as in the human heart and mind. Of course, we know it's found in the various world religions as well as in human heart and mind. We have this divine givenness, with divine God, source. We are one with it. We have everything we need for life and godliness within us. So within our human heart and mind. As a truth student in the New Thought movement believes in the presence of an all-encompassing divine energy, is this energy considered to be separate from humans and unreachable, interconnected with all beings, and accessible through inner consciousness? Of course, be it interconnected with all beings. That's why we say namaste, the divinity, the divine in me salutes the divine in you. We all divine beings. We all have this thing, this God thing within us, every one of us. Okay, I think this is the last one. According to the teachings of Ernest Holmes, founder of religious science, is it possible for an individual to change their life by changing their mind? Of course, a big, big, big yes. When we change what we think of, when we change our mind, we can change our reality.